In 2026, the world woke up to a diplomatic earthquake that would have sounded impossible just 2 years ago. Imagine this: your closest friend, the one you thought would always have your back, suddenly walks away and sits down with your fiercest rival to launch a massive new business deal. That's exactly what's happening to America in 2026. Its closest allies are signing multi-billion-dollar trade agreements with China. All of this while Donald Trump stands behind a microphone, warning of sweeping tariffs, trade wars, and economic sanctions against anyone who gets too close to Beijing. Which raises the question, why would these countries risk angering Washington? What is China offering that's so powerful that Britain, America's historic strategic ally, would throw itself into the arms of the dragon? Clear your mind. To understand what's happening, we need to rewind. Specifically to September 2024. Back then, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken confidently warned the world about China and Russia. He said, explicitly, that they wanted to dismantle the rules-based international order that America had worked so hard to build. Blinken expected the world to line up behind Washington. But the shock he never imagined, even in his worst nightmares, was that the resistance wouldn't come from enemies. It would come from inside the house. And the real surprise came just 2 years later. At Davos 2026, in the heart of Switzerland, Mark Carney, former governor of both the Bank of England and the Bank of Canada, a man who knows the secrets of global finance, dropped a bombshell. Carney said something historic. We are not in a smooth economic transition. We are in fragmentation. He wasn't just diagnosing the economy. He was signing the death certificate of unchallenged American dominance. He was explaining that the post-Cold War system, the one that made the U.S. the undisputed global referee, was running out of fuel. Why? Because America's allies were starting to feel less like partners and more like hostages, especially with the current administration leader declaring the system as if it were his own property. Follow the rules, pay the dues, or the temple comes down. So the allies began looking for a new apartment in Beijing, instead of renewing a lease in Washington where eviction threats never stopped. Meanwhile, China played it brilliantly. While America bared its teeth and issued threats, Beijing stayed calm, strategic. At the very same forum where Trump's rhetoric echoed, China's vice premier stood up calmly and delivered what sounded like a lifeline to Europe. He said simply, "We are not here for confrontation. We are here to build bridges, not walls. We are not here to dominate. We are here to do business where everyone wins." Simple words, but to European and British leaders, they felt like relief after years of pressure. Imagine living under constant tariff threats and sanctions, and suddenly someone extends a hand with a suitcase full of investments saying, "Let's grow together." China wasn't selling products. It was selling economic security at a time when America had become a source of uncertainty. Britain and Europe saw an escape route from a fight Washington wanted them to join. They decided they wouldn't stand in line waiting for the next round of sanctions, when Beijing's back door was open offering billions on a silver platter. The British Prime Minister didn't hesitate. He flew to China and returned with what many called the deal of a lifetime. The backlash was fierce. Accusations of betrayal. Claims he was handing Britain's future to the Chinese dragon. But he did the math. He looked critics in the eye and said, "If we close this door, how do we feed our people?" The numbers speak for themselves. Chinese automaker Chery announced its European headquarters would open in Liverpool. That means factories, thousands of jobs, a city revitalized. And it didn't stop there. A major British pharmaceutical company signed an $18.5 billion deal, securing rights to develop new Chinese treatments, alongside $15 billion in investments in China by 2030. The cooperation even reached Britain's cultural pride, its iconic alcohol industry. Tariffs were cut by 50%. That alone could mean an extra £250 million flowing into British producers over the next 5 years. Even sports and gaming sectors were invited in. China opened its market and said, "Invest here." So what explains this sudden pivot? Britain smelled risk coming from Washington. Trump was building economic walls with aggressive tariffs. London decided it wouldn't starve for loyalty. China is no longer the world's cheap factory. It's an economic giant. Walking away now would be economic suicide. And to understand the shift, look at a tense exchange between a British journalist and one of China's sharpest foreign policy thinkers. The journalist asked bluntly, "Are you our competitor? Our enemy? A threat?" The response was ice cold. We are not your enemy. We are reality. China is the largest car manufacturer on Earth, the largest producer of electric vehicles, a rising leader in AI and semiconductors. So tell me, he said, what exactly are we competing in that makes us enemies? It was painful, but honest. London understood something critical. Ignoring China meant losing the future. If you still think China only makes t-shirts and plastic toys, you need an update. In global advanced manufacturing rankings, China dominates the top tier. It's not just building products, it's building the minds shaping the future. Even the BBC acknowledged that China has become central to the future of global industry, energy, and technology. And when your rival admits your strength, you've reached a point of no return. But the next war isn't just about AI or semiconductors. The real battle is minerals. China controls between 60% and 80% of global EV components, solar panels, and wind turbines. More critically, it controls about 90% of rare earth processing. These minerals power everything, from your smartphone to electric vehicles to advanced aviation, and here lies the investor opportunity. Whoever secures critical minerals outside China's control wins the next decade. China has already weaponized exports. In 2025, it restricted a key strategic metal, cutting exports by 95% in a single year. That means any country building infrastructure or defense must factor in Beijing. So the world is racing to find stable mineral sources away from geopolitical fault lines. Lithium demand is rebounding. Copper remains critical. China alone consumes over half of global supply. Even tech giants like Amazon, Google, and Microsoft are signing direct nuclear energy deals to secure power for data centers. Uranium is becoming the dark horse of 2026. The bottom line? The world order drawn after World War II is being erased and redrawn. America is building walls and tariffs. China is building roads and trade routes. Britain and others are choosing realism over loyalty. They see America as a costly alliance, China as a necessary partner. We are entering an era where minerals may matter more than paper currency, and alliances are built on supply chains, not slogans about democracy. This is no longer just economics. It's survival. So here's the question. If you were the decision maker, would you stay loyal to America and absorb tariffs and recession for the sake of principle? Or would you do what Britain did, follow your national interest, even if it means opening the door to Beijing? And does America still hold the card to reclaim global dominance? Or has the crown already shifted east? Tell me what you think in the comments. And that's it for today, but the game is far from over. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you're always with us at the first chapter of every news story. Goodbye.